Welcome back, my fellow collectors. I love doing these preferred client specials. Again, the whole point behind the preferred client special is to be able to offer you something that you won't find on our normal programming, because typically the coins are just too rare, too difficult to acquire, too few in number. So they only go out to you folks who are our regular clients. And we get to really offer these kinds of coins at a great preferred client special price. And today is a beautiful example, a coin I hardly ever get to make a presentation on, and they are the Mint State early Wheatback Lincoln cents. The Wheatback Lincoln cents in Mint State condition. Now the Wheatback Lincoln cents, again, they were struck with this wheat design up through 1958. Here's an example. The Lincoln cents, when they've been in circulation for a while, they turn a chocolate brown, like you see this 1934 here. And here's the wheat stalk design. And that was from 1958. And then in 1959, they adopted the memorial reverse. But here's one that's been in circulation for a while. And you can see it has a little bit of luster left, but it's got a lot of spotting. And you can see the reverse with the memorial reverse. Now what I have today, these are really special. I have the 1955 PDNS Lincoln cents. I have the entire 3-coin set, all 3 mints that struck the Wheatback Lincolns that year in Mint State 66 red. RD, meaning they have their original, bright, original mint luster. You see, these coins cannot be conserved. In other words, once these coins start turning, you can't send them to NGC or PC just for conservation to restore them to their original brilliance. The only way a coin like this survives in this condition is because it's been stored in a roll of original Lincoln cents, and this was one of the middle coins in the roll, so the surfaces were never exposed to oxygen. They weren't allowed to tone to a red, brown, or a brown. And we have this complete 66 set, and the 55 DNS are in 6/7 only. Now, these are very high grades for a Wheatback Lincoln cent. I mean, the 55S in 6/8 red, I think there's only 1 or 2 graded in 6/8, but 6/6 red is a very high grade. Now, again, most of the Lincoln cents from this early era, even if they were never in circulation, have toning, and they're no longer red or RD. Sasha has a couple examples to show you. Here's a 55P, RB red brown, and you can see the toning that's developed. It no longer has that original mint bloom. It has a little bit, but it's begun to tone, so it has an RB. And RB is worth a lot less than a coin in RD red condition. And then right next to it, we have another example, and that is a BN for brown. That has no original mint bloom left. In this case, there's some nice toning, but it's completely toned over. So to get these in red condition is very, very difficult. Now, here are the mintages of all the Wheatback Lincolns, and you can see they were typically struck in the hundreds of millions for the 1940s. Some years we already had over 1 billion struck, like the 44P, 45P. We go to the second page, and you look down at the bottom. The 55S was the low point for that era. From 1940 and later, the 55S was the lowest minted Lincoln cent, with only 44 million struck. It was the last year the San Francisco Mint struck the Lincoln cent with the Wheatback reverse, that 55S. So remember that. That's a significant year. We go to the last page, and then we get to the memorial reverse, and this is when the Mint started striking them in the billions. The last year, there were 64 P&D, almost 3 billion of the 64 Ps, almost 4 billion of the 64 Ds. Today, I have, again, the 55 PDNS in MS66 red. And you can see the 55P, even though 330 million were struck, only 6,600 graded in 6/6 red. The 55D, only 8,100 examples. Now the 55S, even though it had the lowest mintage, a lot of original rolls were hoarded because A lot of people knew that that was the last year of the San Francisco Mint. So you had more 55S original rolls, so you see a higher population of 55Ss, even though the mintage numbers were much, much smaller. The 55D and the 55P, nobody paid attention to those dates. They weren't hoarded. And so to get them in 6.7, you look at the 55S, 3,900 graded. That's a very scarce coin. Now, I had a client, I called him Harry the Hoarder. I've talked about him for about 10 years. He's responsible for roughly half those 55S's graded in 6.7 red. Harry had literally bags, 5,000 coin bags of 55S's that he had stored away, and he cherry-picked all the bags and submitted them to NGC, and out of those bags, he got a roughly 2,000 coins graded in 6.7 red. So anyway, you take a look at the rarity of those coins, and you got the 55S there in 6.7 red, but then the 55D, only 282 coins in 6.7 red. 55P, only 125. Now, I don't have any 55Ps. Here's what I have for you. I have the complete 55P, D, and S set in 6.6 red. Beautiful 6.6 red. Now, I've got a few comps just to give you an idea of what these coins are traditionally offered at. This is a really tough set to put together, especially, folks, at the price I have it at. You won't find this price anywhere else. Here's a 55D in 6.5 red-brown, $60. Not bad price, fair price. Here's another 65 red-brown, $149. Here's a 6.6 red for $100. That's a very fair price, very competitive price. Here's one, 6.6 red, $205. Then finally, we've got a 55S 6.6 red for $60. So just those two dates, and the best prices, you got $160 just for those two dates. And it doesn't include the 55P, which is the toughest date of all. I couldn't find a good 55P comp out there. I've got this 3-coin set today. We have a limited number of these sets, all 3 dates in 6.6 red. This is a preferred client special. Only $109, not for one coin, not just for the 55D or the 55P, all 3 coins in MS66 red, $109. And if you want to take advantage, you can get 10 sets of 3 for only $995. That's less than $100 a set, folks. 3 coins, that's about $33 a coin for some really rare coins. It's available on the 2-payment option, only $497.50. I've got a limited number of these, especially the 55P and D. Now, I've got the 55D and the 55S in MS67 red. You saw how rare they are. I have no 55Ps in 6.7 red. I only have a handful of 55Ds. Again, the total pop, only 282 coins. Here's a few offered in 6.7 red. $1,349. Dealer with 100% positive feedback. Here's one that sold in auction, $7,050. 6.7 red. Here's a 55S. Again, not as rare as the 55D. $235. Here's another 55S, $399. Here's what I have today on these 2 coins. Take a look at these 2. The 55S, if you just want the 55S, I'll offer this 55S alone for only $99. But if you want the set, both the 55D and the 55S in MS67 red, you can get both coins for only $495. I mean, to find this coin with this original luster, no spots, a copper coin, if you touch it with your finger, just lightly touch it with your finger and put it in storage for 10, 20 years, in 10, 20 years, you'll see a fingerprint on the coin from the oil from your finger. To survive in this condition, look at this coin. It's amazing, immaculate. And the reverse, it's incredible. Essentially mark-free, $495 for a set of 2, I am inspired by Wheatback Lincoln Cents in mint state when I can find them in this condition because I know how rare they are. And then the S mint, which is, again, not quite as rare as the 55D, but still very rare coin. The pair for only $495. And I have a special, if you get 3 of these sets while I have them, I have a very limited number of these sets. I have fewer than 25. You can get 3 of these sets, 3 sets of 2 for only $1,395 or 2 payments of only $697.50. So this is a great preferred client special to get something with incredible eye appeal, incredible quality and rarity at such a collector-friendly price, stored in these state-of-the-art NGC holders, these holders that are airtight, that use medical-grade plastic that is totally inert, so that these Lincoln Cents will be as bright and beautiful 100 years from now as they are today. I hope you can take advantage of this really special offer. I love these preferred client specials when I can offer something like this where you get so much numismatic rarity and beauty for so few of your numismatic dollars. Thanks for watching. See you soon.